Everybody, it's Francis. I'm trying to go ahead and get back into doing some kind of regular video updates, especially now that my Podshack is done. I have all of my accoutrements, all of my decorations and everything like that set up in here. This is the shed that I've been so excited about. So this is the first time I'm actually shooting something inside of the shed. Hopefully, all my tests say that the audio sounds okay. I can hear an echo, but it's whatever. It's not like you pay for this. What the fuck you want? So the hope is to go back. If you remember back when I used to do these a year plus ago, I would kind of talk about some stuff in local news, or not local news, but current news, and then I would read something. A lot of times from one of the zines, the Vietnam War era zines from the soldiers who were all anti-war. There were a lot of them. When you were forcing people to be in the military, there was a lot of dissent. There was a lot of pushback against it. There's all kinds of stuff like that. So I've been doing that. I was doing that in the past. I will be doing that, kind of today, for this recording as well. I've got something picked out, but I think the first thing that we need to take a look at here, bring this up. So if you have not seen this video, this is a video that was shot in Ukraine for the Ukraine war, during the Ukraine war. This is a Russian drone that is coming to fight basically a Ukrainian drone. These are both quadcopters. The tweet that I saw said that the Ukrainian one was like a DJI something or other, but they're off the shelf. So the reason I wanted to talk about this one is for a couple reasons. One, this is the first time that we've ever seen confirmed drone-on-drone action. I'm sure there's UAVs that can fight other UAVs. I just don't know if that has actually happened yet. This is the first time we've actually seen drones fighting other drones, even if it is just two of them kind of running into each other. And I say that, to be, quadcopters specifically. I'm sure somebody will come up with something about unmanned aerial vehicles fighting one another. I think there was in Top Gun. I didn't watch the new Top Gun yet, so it could be inside of that. But the point is, the question that comes up here is this a technical? Which is an interesting question, because we have to retroactively kind of consider previous some kind of previous iterations of these things as technical. So a technical is defined as something that is it's a civilian made vehicle, civilian made. It's not made for military use, but is repurposed for military use. So these are quadcopters that are fighting each other, but really they don't even have weapons on them. But therein lies the question. So a lot of these things have been used. They put mortar bombs on them. They put grenades on them. And actually, this is, if you've been keeping up with any of the AUSA stuff, the Association of the United States Army, where they bring out all their fancy, all the contractors bring out all their fancy shit. You get to see the Abrams X and all that other bullshit. But they're selling, drones that are specifically made to be flown over something and drop stuff onto, vehicles, personnel, or whatever. So those are not technicals, because those are being made with a specific purpose of dropping a bomb on something. We are making this, it is made for military usage of one kind or another, and is made to drop bombs on, drop bombs. These, if you're taking something off the shelf, have something sent to you, and you retrofit it for grenades and stuff, that kind of becomes a technical. Now, there's other things, other considerations. A lot of times the vehicle technicals, my stipulations are that the weapon must be attached to the vehicle frame in some way. So you can't just two dudes in the back of a pickup truck with AK-47s is not a technical. But you put a DSHK, you attach something, as long as something's bolted into the bed, that's fine. And the second one is that you have to have a driver and you have to have a gunner. You cannot have the driver and the gunner doing the same thing. These stipulations that I put are completely arbitrary and mean absolutely nothing, so don't feel like anybody else has to stick with them. A technical was really, if you don't know the history of technicals, it really dates back to the 70s when the NGOs, I think, in areas like Libya, they needed protection from, the local gangs and militias and everything. And they couldn't say, hey, we're going to hire these local militia guys. You can't write that down on your invoice, send it back to the U.S. government. So they were technical advisors. So that's kind of where the term technical comes from. And it is anything, from there we kind of expanded as to anything that is civilian made, that's made to bombs. Now, I love technicals. I love them because I love the idea that that if you need to go to war, you got something. Anything is ready to go to be able to fight asymmetrical war, and to just not have to go to Northrop Grumman, not have to go to Lockheed Martin or something like that. That you can do these things. And I don't know, I also love just people who manage to just pull stuff together from out of nowhere. So, the technicals really have a high thing. This is my favorite. This is the Franken-Tank. A technical with a fucking tank. Not even I think it's a T-62 head on top of it. Which those things fly off of T-62s all the time, so it's not too hard to find one somewhere scattered around Russia and pop it onto one of these. But I'm always enamored with these kinds of things, the things that people come up with to go fight their wars. And the U.S. Army did a lot of it too. We didn't have to make technicals, but we did in some ways have to be there. So some of the IEDs in Iraq and Afghanistan, they were set off to when it detected the heat of the engine of the MRAP. So the MRAP sit up really high, so you can kind of have it set up really high to do, other smaller cars can pass underneath it. So what MRAPs had to start doing is they put this thing called the Rhino mount on it, and it was this big. It was like a black square, black box that was maybe about a square foot, and I'd say about that wide in between. And inside of this box was a heating coil. That was and it's something that run all the way back up to the cab of the thing. You plugged it in. So when you were driving, it would, when this thing would detect, it would explode. The IED would go off, and it might take off the nose of the MRAP, but it wouldn't kill everybody inside of the MRAP, which is what they were going for. So these kinds of ingenuities, I'm always fascinated by. It's the one, having seen a lot of it in person, in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then, kind of witnessing it as well. So I think, I love that this video exists. There's so many bits of war that you just don't get to see. And the more cameras and everything, and the more that we have people recording and uploading stuff, the more of this war, the more of any kind of warfare you're seeing. And this is incredible. This could have happened at some point in time, but now we have video evidence of drone fights. So I'm a big fan. I'm hoping to see more drones running into each other. That'd be pretty fun to watch as well. I'll go ahead and make the ruling technical. If you are using this to attack somebody else and you bought it, off of Amazon or eBay or whatever, then we're going to go ahead and call it a technical. When you're in the air and you have a drone operator, you know what? We're going to bend the rules. We're going to, maybe you don't need two people. You just need one person that can fly it over and drop it. We're more than likely we're going to have to really expand the definition of technicals to air and sea at some point in time. So we'll have to talk to some Navy and some Air Force people to kind of figure that one out. All right. So today, going a little too fast here. That down. I'm still getting used to OBS. Yes, this is meant to be in the front. I wanted you guys to take a look at this as I talked here. So what this is this is the, let's move it on over here. This is from a zine called 99th Bummer. And there's repositories online of all these kinds of different zines that have been collected and scanned in. It's not all of them. There were so many of them. Every military base seemed to have their own. So there's a lot of them that were available, and I really like coming through and reading some of them, because these are a lot of the original, really left-leaning anti-war voices that, in some ways I do try to echo today. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Certainly, again, you got to understand these guys were drafted. In a lot of ways, they didn't end up having choices. So sometimes these things can kind of work out, sometimes they don't. But these zines were some of the greatest, some really great stuff in there. But also, there's just some real navel-gazy bullshit. There's a lot of it's the 60s and 70s, so there's a little bit of hippy dippiness to some of it. But other than that, it's a lot of really great stuff. So I found this one in 99th Bummer. This is called Medicine or War Machines. We've just found out that Westover, and this is an Air Force base, Westover Air Force Base, is going to all of its gynecological and obstetrics facilities as of June 1st. The OBGYN clinic presently handles an average of 500 births and approximately 8,000 obstetric visits and 8,000 gynecologic visits annually. Patients will be seen at the OBGYN clinic as usual until July 1st. From then on, they will have available to them the CHAMPUS program, which is the Civilian Health and Medical Programs of the Uniformed Services. This is like the original, hey, we're not going to treat you. You can go out into the civilian world and get this taken care of. And listen to the bullshit that comes with this one. Okay, under which they will be treated by civilian doctors off base. Only the WAPs will have these doctor appointments paid for them by the Air Force. Dependents, so Air Force, the WAP women Air Force personnel. But dependents, let's see, so their dependents will pay for their medical care in a Blue Cross Blue Shield arrangement where the patient pays the first $50 and 25% of the rest. The Air Force claims that this is a cutback as a necessary money saver for them. So they were literally just cutting out medical necessities for women. The women in the Air Force can get it, but anybody else, they're going to have to pay not only a $50 copay, which in the 1970s is a lot of money. It's a lot of money now. Shit, my daughter goes to a doctor and it's a $50 copay. That shit's insane. And then you have to pay for 25% of the rest of it as you go up. God forbid you have to get a hysterectomy and you're a dependent of an Air Force airman. Okay, so they claim that this cutback is a necessary money saver for them. But where are the cutbacks for the bombs and the B-52s and the anti-personnel weapons and chemical warfare? How about the fact that the new NCO club is going to cost $1 million? Don't fuck with the NCO club, all right? Leave those poor sergeants alone. People's health is not much of a priority compared to these things. And in particular, women's health is not much of a priority, which, as we said, inside of a lot of these anti-war zines also has a lot of pro-women, pro-minority, discussing problems with racism, sexism, homosexuality, people being homophobic. These are the theory that I like to read, and again, some of it, as you can see, there's a lot of military industrial complex discussion that happens in a lot of these, and that's fine. I mean, that is exactly what was going on back then. Some of these have quotes from Smedley Butler pulled directly from Wars of Racket in them. So, okay, part of the problem for the Air Force is that fewer and fewer doctors want to join the Air Force. Fewer and fewer doctors want to join. The Air Force has to provide all kinds of incentives to them. Of those that do join, recently have ended up filing for COS. I don't know what COS is. Maybe it's getting out of the military, or becoming troublemakers. They have to see their contradictions between their profession of saving lives and the Air Force's destruction of lives. Hippocratic Oath stuff. The Air Force doesn't need any more dissent within its ranks, so they can do without so they can do without the doctors, and apparently they think the descent comes from the men. The Air Force doesn't need any more descent within. They double printed this. Okay. The Air Force doesn't need any more dissent within the ranks, and apparently they think the dissent comes mainly from the men. They think that women can be pushed around and that they'll take it. They've been wrong before. So, as I've kind of said, there was a lot of things in these archives, and we'll go through a lot of them as much as we can. I want to do this at least once a week. I want to go back to doing it once a week. But there's a lot of discussion about racism. There's a lot of discussion about sexism. And then I have stuff that goes even further back. Like I was doing a few readings from like some of the first all-women zines from like the 1600s. When the very first, like, you're getting out of the Renaissance period, but you're not really into the industrial period yet. And a lot of it is the writings of women who were working in the big factories, the big steamstress areas, making dog shit money, having to work 16 hours a day, everything like that. But these women were scientists and poets on their off times when they could be, and they wrote great things. And so I like to, bring some of that stuff kind of, forward. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that we can go, as we go forward with this, we can get more stuff. Please feel free to, send us messages, send me emails, or hit me up on Twitter if there's anything in particular that you'd want to see on these videos. But, just I feel like just kind of talking about, what is going on in between the regular podcast, kind of as an update, and just doing a little bit of reading. It's fun. Let's see where we can go with it. So thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed all of my backdrop. I kind of like where it's all right now. I hope you like the podcast sign on all kinds of devices that you can't listen to podcasts on. Shortwave radios. Listen to your podcast. Thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.